like we're fools. We're underestimated and boxed in all judgmental labels spread us thin. We can run away to another place. No need to worry, you'll be my safety. We can run away to another place. No need to worry, escape reality. Escape reality. No need to worry, escape reality. Escape reality. Oh, we can take this world by storm. I couldn't want anything more. Just hear me whisper that your dreams lie here with me. And let the stars above serve as your remedy. We can run away to another place. No need to worry, you'll be my safety. We can run away to another place. No need to worry, escape reality. Escape reality. No need to worry, escape reality. Escape reality. No need to worry, escape reality. I know this world can be so cruel. We have our hands tied, they treat us like we're fools. Labels spread us thin. We can run away to another place. No need to worry, you'll be my safety. We can run away to another place. No need to worry, escape reality. Escape reality. No need to worry, escape reality. Escape reality. Oh, we can take this world by storm. I couldn't want anything more. Just hear me whisper that your dreams lie here with me. And let the stars above serve as your remedy. We can run away to another place. No need to worry. You'll be my safety. We can run away to another place. No need to worry. Escape reality. Escape.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Silk Masquerades. It is Tuesday, and sorry for the delay. My apologies. Had some technical difficulties there, but want to welcome each of you to the broadcast this afternoon. I'm so excited. Today we have joining us Chef Afi Green, and she is going to talk to us about vegan and vegan recipes, vegan lifestyle, plant based lifestyle. And so we are looking forward to talking with Chef Afi. Want to remind you that if you haven't yet, please click that subscribe button, tap on that notification bell so you don't miss any of our episodes. You'll know what's going on and what's coming up, and share it with a friend. We want you to get the word out that we are bringing and introducing to you some wonderful individuals and some wonderful things that they have going on in their lives. And we want to share that with you. In addition to that, make sure you and subscribe. Like and subscribe, okay? All right, so we're not going to waste much time this evening. We're going to go ahead and get started and bring Chef Afi to the screen. So everyone, welcome Chef Afi.
Oh, that was awesome, Valerie. Thank you.
Hi, welcome.
Hi.
I am so excited to have you join me. I've been looking forward to talking with you. And today we are talking once again, Chef Afi Nia Green. And we're going to get to know Chef Afi, who you are and what you're about, and how it is that you actually came to be a chef and why you chose to focus on plant based diet. So, to begin, let's find out who you are. Who is Afi Nia Green?
All right. Well, let's see. Let's sum this up in a nutshell, shall we? So, I am the oldest of nine siblings. I was raised in Atlanta, Georgia, on, let's see, a plant based diet. My mom and dad started out vegetarian first because at the time they were learning. And this was back in the early 70s. Um, it was a lot going on during that time, and they did not want to raise their kids to eat meat. So they took this journey of starting out like eliminating things from their diet. My mom actually kind of had this already in her mindset when she left home that she didn't want to raise her kids to eat meat. So I we went with her on this journey of not eating meat. There was transitions. We started out where there was fish in our diet and there was cheese, but then over time, those kind of things got eliminated. And then she started learning more, which meant that we would learn more. Like I said, it was a process. I started at home in the kitchen with her learning. I learned how to make tofu from scratch. Back then, they didn't have a lot of options as far as where you could get your tofu. It was kind of expensive. So my mom actually, I don't even know where she bought this kit from, but she bought this like wooden kit that you could actually make the tofu and press it and everything. Also, back then, they didn't have a lot of like plant based milks like they do now. Back then, the option was soy because people were still learning. So we used to get soy milk, but then my mom bought what is called a Vitamix. Vitamix has been around for probably like 40 something years. They have a really long lasting, high powered blender. That's basically what it is. And so she would make nut milks. She started out making sunflower seed milk and almond milk. Those were the two milks that we kind of grew up on. And now almond milk is cartoned. They have other plant-based milks like oat, cashew, all of those things. My mom actually started back when we were kids. So
Okay, let me
it
ask,
kind of had kind of a
uh,
lasting impression on me.
so let me
Yes.
ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
So your mom just decided that she was going to start experimenting with these various plant-based milk products?
Yes. So a little bit about her. She is actually a naturopathic physician. And so she learned about that lifestyle and she did a lot of research. She started like figuring out what ways so that we could get all of our nutrients of what you need to have in order to live. And so she does this to this day. Now she still works. She'll be 72 in August and she still works. And so it's a learning process of you can't just jump off the board and say, okay, now I want to just stop eating meat. You learn. And so back then there was more like book research. Now, of course, we have the internet. So people can type in, how do you convert to plant based? So that was how she kind of started. And then she took little baby steps by incrementing. And then she learned from other people that were in the community. And it was a little challenging because we lived in the South. The South Atlanta was not always open for that. Now it is kind of like the thing to be eating plant-based. A lot of people know about it. When we were kids, it was a struggle because when we were in school, we didn't like to eat in front of people. We didn't eat hamburgers and we didn't eat chicken and all of those other things. My mom never took us to McDonald's. Those places didn't exist for us. So we had other things. Like there was this product called Love Burger, which is it was like a mixture of grains and vegetables put together, and you add hot water to it, and then you make it into a patty. So that was our sandwich. And then we had things like avocados and rice cakes and, healthy grains and fruit and vegetables. So that's kind of how we transitioned. It was, say that again.
I said, okay, that is very interesting. And actually, Afi, um, unbelievably, that is how my childhood
Oh,
and
awesome.
my parents became vegetarian when I was
Okay.
5 years old, and
Gotcha.
my mother started experimenting with plant-based cooking, soybean products, and
Gotcha.
making. I just remember the cheesecloth and having
Yes, yes, yes,
yes,
yeah.
that was quite an experience. Okay, so how did that have an impact on your childhood outside of not um, being familiar with meat and actually not wanting to eat meat eat in front of other kids at school?
Well, it's kind of a challenge, but then as I got older, I started to get used to it a little bit. A lot of times it was one of those things of like kind of trying to educate a little bit, but a lot of times when you're a kid, that's not always your thing. Like you're not trying to explain to somebody what tofu on a rice cake is.
Right.
So it was more of like just getting through it. And, we love to eat. And when we were at home, we would like, make these delicious meals because my mom had all of us cooking. So she cooked, but then she showed all of us how to cook. So all of my siblings cook. Each of us had a chore. And when it was your turn to cook, you had to pick, we made menus. You had to pick what you were going to make, and then you would have to cook it for everybody in the family. So I think as I got older, I got more comfortable with it. But as a child, it was kind of challenging because kids are kids. And a lot of times, if kids don't understand why you don't eat hamburgers or chicken, they think you're weird and it's strange and all of those other kind of things. But I didn't want that to be a reason why I stopped doing it. I actually enjoy eating that way. I don't knock people for however they eat, but I still enjoy that eating, a plant-based diet.
Okay. So did
Yeah.
you ever eat meat ever?
I have tasted some chicken. I was married like 20 something years ago, and I have tasted chicken, but I didn't like it. And if I actually eat meat now, I'll probably get sick. The only thing I have eaten that was kind of on the regular prior to just being who I am more on a pescatarian version would be fish.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's understandable.
Because there's
So,
like levels
mhm,
of vegetarian, there's pescatarian, there's vegan was a term back then, but people didn't really use it as much. They used like vegetarian because maybe they still hadn't figured out how they were getting to that point.
right. That's what I was just about to ask you. What is the difference between being vegetarian and being vegan?
Okay, that's a great question. Well, the main difference is vegetarian, you can still do things like you might actually do dairy, like you might do cheese. Um, Cheese is probably a big one for vegetarian. Vegetarian just means you don't do like red meats or any kind of dark meat, but you still might incorporate cheese into your diet.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So then where does pescatarian fit into?
Pescatarian means that you incorporate like fish into your diet. So it's that level. So you might have started out as a pescatarian, then went to vegetarian, and then kind of transitioned to vegan. Some people just jump on and say, okay, I'm going to just stop eating meat altogether. And that's cool too. It depends on what your purpose is. My mom didn't want us to eat meat because she said it was not good for us. It was not good for your body. Some people do it because they don't want to hurt animals. I don't agree with hurting animals either, but it was more for health reasons.
Okay. All right. So, are there any individuals for whom a vegan lifestyle is not necessarily advisable?
On that note, I can't really, speak to that. That would probably be something that you would probably need to discuss with like a physician, because it depends on, what's going on with your body.
Mhm.
Whenever I'm teaching something, it's more on the aspect of, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist. So I don't try to come from it in that way. You still need to know what you should be doing. If you have questions, I'm more than happy to answer them for you. But on that level, I would say, look at what your history is. A lot of people change their diets because of health complications. But if
Right.
you start incorporating some of these things into your diet prior to, it's not going to stop a lot of diseases, but it does help a lot.
Right. Okay. So, what led you to become a chef? Was it the influence of your childhood and your mother?
Yes, I would say both. So it was me being in the kitchen with her. So when I started out in the kitchen with her, I started out cooking. She used to bake a lot of baked goods. She did breads and cinnamon rolls and things like that. And these were all like dairy free things. And I started helping her do that. And then it went from that to the tofu. And then by the time I was probably like pre-teens or pre-tweens, as you want to say it, I started helping a friend of hers who had a popcorn business. And I started helping her, bag her popcorn, pop it, and all of these like awesome things. And the crazy thing is, this is when I was like, somewhere between 10 years old. And she is still creating popcorn to this day. It has not stopped. We actually got to see her last summer. So it was just super cool. So I would say, yes, it would be a lot of me being around my mom, enjoying cooking. And then the major part was actually going to culinary school.
Okay. So, going to culinary school, why
Yeah.
did you choose culinary school and what was that like?
Okay, so I chose culinary school because I wanted to my forte in the culinary world was actually baking and pastries. And because I kind of grew up with my mom and I saw her bake everything, like we didn't get box cakes for birthdays. We didn't get those kind of things. My mom actually made cakes for us for our birthday. And so what I wanted to do was actually be able to learn the science behind how and why, when you put something like salty and something sweet, how that affects it. So the culinary school part came for me was more technical. And of course, I could have asked my mom, like, why would you put baking soda and baking powder and salt in something that's sweet? But it was just one of those things that I really wanted to learn, like the technical part. And then the other part was I used to love watching cooking shows when I was a kid. I used to watch Julia Childs. There was another, two other people that I watched. One was the Frugal Gourmet. He was like this, like, guy, this older guy who I don't know if you ever seen him.
Yes, yes.
Okay. I used to love watching him. And then there was this Cajun chef that was on TV and he used to love to drink and he would make all of these things. And so it was one of those things that kind of stood back in my mind of, oh, I really like doing this. So I was like, well, how do I get to that point? Now, there was a time period in my life that actually food was not always a priority. It kind of came backseat, but then as I started getting older and I started saying, what is it that I really want to do for the rest of my life? And then the food part started coming back. And I actually went to culinary school in my last year in my 30s.
Okay.
So I kind of waited a while because I actually hadn't figured out exactly how I wanted to take it. And I went for pastry and baking. That's where I wanted to go with it. Because unfortunately, a lot of culinary schools, unless they're in specific places, don't actually focus on plant-based diet. So it makes it very challenging for you to go there to be a regular vegan culinary chef. Schools available now, but I went to Le Cordon Bleu in Atlanta, and that wasn't a program that they offered. Plus, I loved to work with cakes. And so I was just like, you know what? I want to be like the next cake boss, the female cake boss, that kind of thing.
Okay, very nice. I know that I've been following you on social media, and for everyone that is interested, we will share Chef Afi's contact information and how you can find her. Or want to show you something and ask you what this is. If I can get it up, what do we have going on there? Can you see that?
Okay, awesome. Thank you for posting that. That's awesome. I just did that last week. So those are vegan cannolis. So last Saturday, I had a Zoom class that I offered for free. And it's something that I have another one coming up in April. And you actually got to watch me. You could participate if you wanted to, because if you emailed me in enough time or contacted me in enough time, I would have sent you the list of ingredients and the tools that you needed to make those. But those are vegan cannolis. They're similar to the traditional ones, but there's a few cheats in there. And they're dairy free. They were delicious. They were baked in an oven. I had a lot of fun teaching the course, and it's super delicious. It's something that literally only takes about 30 minutes approximately to make.
Well, I'm telling you, those are absolutely gorgeous. When
Thank you. Thank you.
I saw the post, I went, "What in the world? Are you kidding me? I can
Yeah.
learn how to make this myself." That's beautiful.
Yes, yes. And I would love to show you. Hopefully, the next time we can actually do a physical demonstration. I would have to actually pre make some to show you because of the time limit it would probably take to get it all done. But yeah, it was super cool to actually do that. And I have a lot of courses that I have on. That I'm working on bringing to the forefront so that people can actually gravitate and go to, and even you can sign up for a live class, which means that we can actually be on the camera in front of each other, or you could choose one of my pre-recorded classes. And like I said, I do have another class that's coming up in April. It's actually making homemade salad dressings.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
with your cooking demonstrations, you are not only baking and you're not only introducing individuals to a plant based lifestyle, it is actually interesting in foods that we want to eat. Things that,
Exactly.
yes, yes. So, how
Yes.
important is that in plant based eating and can't talk? Plant-based living, how important is it for you to choose and to learn how to prepare foods that you actually want to serve others and that you want to eat?
I think it's absolutely necessary. Because here's the thing, like, if you don't season something properly, or doesn't look appetizing, then nobody wants to eat it. So, I was taught that, if you put the right proper seasonings, you figure out the right ingredients to make something, you're going to love it. I make lasagna, we have spaghetti, I make risotto. All of those things can be done on a plant based diet without necessarily having to use dairy or meat stocks for your food. So it is absolutely necessary. Of course, there are days where sometimes I don't get all fancy in the kitchen. When I was working full time in my cake shop, sometimes I would come home and eat a bowl of cereal just because I was kind of, maybe kitchened out. But it's one of those things that I do enjoy being in the kitchen, and it's fun to come up with like menus. I'll get books and things like that for references as well. So I still use other references. It's like, ooh, somebody did something other. Ooh, I think I might have to try that. And then sometimes I look at like traditional recipes and then I veganize them.
Okay, so you mentioned a cake shop. You
Yes,
owned a cake shop.
I did. I did.
What
Back
was that?
in Yes, back in 20, let's see, when did I open it? 2016. So let me back up a little bit more. So after culinary school back in 2012, I moved from Atlanta, Georgia to Kansas City, Missouri. I was actually, the reason I left Atlanta because I was actually looking for work and I had to complete my externship for work. And I was having a hard time trying to find a job in a bakery. The market is very saturated. And so I knew someone who lived in Kansas City. They offered for me to come and I moved there. The job that I was actually supposed to have kind of fell through. It did not like work out, but I was like, I'm already here now, so I have to make the best of it. So in that time, I actually wind up working for an insurance company, and I had to do something that I really didn't enjoy doing. I became a chef for an insurance company. Unfortunately, I was not cooking plant based meals. But that kind of helped me learn the back of the house. I worked for that company 4.5 years. And during that 4.5 years, from 2013 until 2017, I actually was working on my cake shop. So I started out, working at home, doing little cakes and, kind of soliciting. And then I was like, okay, I need to get legal. So then I was like, well, I need a commercial kitchen to work out of because technically you can't sell food from your home and make money. There are things called the food cottage law that kind of in certain states help you do certain things, but there are limits to that. So I found a shared commercial kitchen, which is basically just a rented space that you can go in and you either pay by the hour or by the month. And then you produce all of your products there. So that's how I started it. And then I went from there to like trying to research my own space just because it was getting a little challenging to use the shared space because sometimes it wasn't always available when I needed it. And I focused on a lot of like wedding cakes. If you are a cake designer or you have a bakery, a lot of times your bread and butter are weddings and like big special occasions. And so sometimes the shared kitchen was a little challenging because during the summertime on Saturdays, there was a lot of like challenges of being able to get in the kitchen to finish my cake. And then I would have to do a portion of it there and then take a portion of it home. So I was like, okay, how do we fix that situation? And I'm on Facebook and I connect with a lot of different people. And one of my friends that I kind of knew, I didn't really know her, she posted that the shop where she used to work, the space was opening again. And
Oh,
so I was like, oh my God, I think I'm going to have to go for it. And the amazing part to it, it was that all the equipment was already included. And that's very rare.
that's nice.
Most places do not leave their equipment because you can sell it and make money. And so it was actually owned by these two older ladies who used to run a bakery a long time ago. And they wanted to help up and coming bakers be able to be successful and, produce their product. And so I reached out to them and I was like, this is what I offer. Can we make something happen? And that's how I actually wind up opening my cake shop, which was Cosmic Cake Art. If you follow me on Instagram, I actually have two Instagram pages. The first page, which is where all of my main followers are, is Cosmic Cake Art. That's where that came from.
Okay, very
Yeah.
nice. Okay, so once you decided to uh, leave the cake, why did you leave? Why did you close your bakery?
I'm
Was
sorry, say that one more time.
was there a reason why you chose to close your bakery?
Well, unfortunately, the expense of having a brick and mortar and then trying to keep a roof over my head became too much.
Okay.
It was a lot, and I was doing it on my own. I actually had to wind up quitting my full time job because my full time job required a lot of hours, and then my cake shop required a lot of hours. And I was like, I'm one person, and unfortunately, I can't do both. So in February of 2018, I actually had to make the executive decision to actually close and just pivot into another way. Sometimes when you do things and you're looking at, okay, schematics of how things play out, the bigger picture sometimes can be very overwhelming. And I relish the fact of being able to have that space. I enjoyed being able to go there every day. I was open 6 days a week. I was only closed one day a week because I had to have one day off where it was not baking or doing things like that. But it just got to be a little bit too much for me to handle just by myself.
Okay.
So it wind up having me close to say, okay, let's change it into a different way. Brick and mortars are very expensive, especially on a kitchen. There's a lot of maintenance and maintaining that you have to do. And I was just like, okay, I think the next time if I go into an actual brick and mortar, I have to have like a partnership.
Okay.
That way it's not all on me.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So once you decided to pivot and take another direction, you decided to go into what was next
So
for you?
So when I decided to close the shop down, I actually moved back to the East Coast. That's where I am right now. I am in Newark, New Jersey. And so now I am actually taking the focus from just doing cakes to actually teaching. I was teaching a little bit in Missouri in my shop, but it wasn't as much. Now I'm trying to focus on that. But before I could get to that point, I had to work other places. So I started working for this company that's online called Coco Social, and it's in New York City, and they have recreational cooking classes. And I would go downtown New York to like would have me go to hotels like 42nd Street, and I would teach a vegan what was it? It was a vegan macaroon, French macaroon class. And that was awesome. The problem is that the classes weren't as consistent as they needed to be. And then following that, I wind up working for another company called Taste Buds. And Taste Buds is another cooking school. There's a lot of like cooking schools around the country. There are several actually. I think Taste Buds might have a location in Atlanta. I'm not for sure, but they have a lot of locations. And basically what they do is they teach recreational cooking. They teach everything from vegan to pastry to pasta, pizza, anything and everything. And
Okay.
so those kind of things helped me get to where I am now. But there was some other things that came before that too. There was me working as a kitchen manager for a shared kitchen. And then due to COVID last year, unfortunately, I actually had was laid off so that I could not be there anymore. But the shared kitchen was basically a second home for me because that's kind of where I started. So at that point, I was brought in as the manager, but I was there to kind of consult and talk to some of the up and coming entrepreneurs that were just starting out and they were, getting their foot wet into entrepreneurship.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. So now that you are teaching, I saw um, this. Tell me
Yeah.
about DIY Kitchen Diaries.
Awesome. Awesome. So back in, let's see, late 2019, I was trying to figure out how do I push my cooking classes again. I really love teaching and I wanted to do it on my own. So I was like, well, how can I do that? And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to come up with my own classes. They're going to be plant based. And I'm going to make them recreational, which is fun, and just have a great time at it. So then I kept trying to come up with like a name. And DIY just means that you're doing it yourself. And diaries, basically, the reason I put diaries in it, because some of the recipes were kind of close to my heart. And if you know about, of course, a diary, normally you write things in a diary and then you kind of keep it to yourself. But I'm open to sharing a lot of what I know. So that's where the diaries came from in it. And so I was like, okay, I have the name, I have what I'm going to teach. Now I have to find somewhere to teach it. So I was like, okay, where can I do this? And then I started hunting around and I came up with this wine shop that was in downtown Newark that has a kitchen facility. And I started talking to the owner. She's a lovely woman who teaches wine. She's a sommelier. She also offers wine tasting classes. And I thought, what a great way to, introduce what I do. And the first class that I was going to offer was the pasta. It's handmade pasta, which is on my roster right now. It's handmade pasta. And we started trying to get it going, but people are still, trying to get to know me. So I was having a little challenges of getting people to come out to the classes. And we had 2 classes on the roster. And I was like, okay, we're going to get this going. And then the next class came from 2020. It was like, let me see, I think it was like March. It was right before we went into the lockdown. And it actually had to get pulled because unfortunately everything shut down. We were in lockdown mode really quick here in the north. And it was just like, okay, that's the end of that. So I was like, well, I can't let this be the end of me wanting to teach. So how else do I do this? So once I was laid off and I was at home, I was like, okay, you know what I'm going to start doing? I'm going to start doing Facebook Lives. So every week for about, let me see, I think I did like 20 of them. And if you go on my Facebook feed, you can still see them. I did 20 different Facebook Lives on how to make all kind of things. We had eggplant parmesan. I showed you how to make dinner rolls. We made vegan quiche one day. We did the pasta. I did pizza. It was just like everything that you could think of.
Wow, that actually is exciting. So, vegan, when you think about vegan recipes, what is one thing that most people ask for and want to learn how to make?
Let's see. A lot of them want something vegetable based, which is fine because they're trying to figure out now that they have stopped eating meat, they want to figure out how do I make, something that tastes delicious. The other thing that I try to do is kind of give them something similar to what they've already had. So that's the reason why I started out doing pasta and pizza. And then the other class that I do that's really fun that people enjoy. It's the I make little dumplings, so they're like veggie dumplings made from the wonton, and then they get cooked in a steamer. So it's something that you're like, oh my God, like veganism can be cool. It doesn't have to be you're just eating a plate of salad, because back in the day, that's what people used to think, that all you want to eat is salad and some vegetables, where there's grains and there's pasta, and I actually show you how to make the pasta from scratch. So we use what is called, for the egg substitute, we use what is called aquafaba. And aquafaba is actually the liquid from the chickpeas. It's something that I learned back in like 2015, that it actually mimics egg whites. And so that's how, because traditional pasta is made with flour, oil, and eggs, regular eggs. But with the vegan pasta, we use aquafaba, and we still use flour, and then we use olive oil. So I try to get people to see that you can still make a delicious meal without it seeming like, oh God, this is going to be boring.
Right. And because that's exactly what most people think. When you think
Exactly.
or you think vegan, they think, okay, there's no taste. I'm not
Exactly.
yes,
Exactly.
that
I impressed my school chef when I made my vegan cupcakes. We had assignments that we had to do, and whenever we had to do something that it was a product that I didn't necessarily agree with, I gave him a different option. And at first he was kind of like, I'm not really sure about that. But then I made the product and he was like, okay. And he had this little name for me in school. He called me like veggie girl or something. I don't know. It was like super crazy or whatever. But it was like fun to just kind of show that I could take something and make it what you make, but just on a level without meat. That's all.
okay. So I'm going to put up another photo and you tell me about this
Yes. Awesome. So that is what I call my cupcake bouquet. This is something that I actually sell as a kit, and I also teach you how to do this. It is actually cupcakes that are in a tin, and then the tin is pushed in with like styrofoam and stuff like that. But basically, what the class is about is teaching you how to pipe cupcake flowers. And I actually have vases of them. One of the things that I used to do as a signature for my cake shop was cupcake bouquets. They came in a long, slender vase, and then they look like a huge bouquet of flowers that you could hand to someone. And this way, it right here, that's in this picture, is one that's in a flat, like flower bed. So it makes it really cool for this time of the year. And I do have a class that I do promote on my website that you can actually book to sign up and actually take this class. And if you sign up in enough time, I actually have a kit. This is not actually the kit, but it would be like in a huge box, and it comes with the tin and the your piping bags, because you need piping bags, you need piping tips. I don't give the cake mix. At one time, I was creating cake mix to go with it, but then that could cause kind of like trouble with like making sure that the stuff is not damaged. But I do give the recipe, and then it comes with an actual recipe guide. So then you have all the information that you need. And then you could either do it pre-recorded, or we can actually do it live where I'm sitting in front of you and we're doing it together. And it's super fun. I show you how to make hydrangea flowers. You learn how to pipe a rose, which, and when I was in culinary school, that was a challenging part right there. The rose was one of those things that I had to literally practice on. And it was kind of funny. When I first started doing it, I was out of school. I actually got sick the day that they did the roses, and my partner took notes for me. And I was like, oh my God, I've got to practice, and I got to practice. And it just takes practice. I mean, you do something long enough, you'll get good at it. I have been doing this now for the last, let me see, I'm going to count in my head. It's probably like 9 years now. That's how long I've been out of school. So it's one of those things that just takes time. And over time, you learn and you perfect. As long as you're practicing, you get better at it.
Okay. All right. That is awesome. So, with these teaching classes, if individuals sign up early enough, you can provide a kit for them. Um,
Yes, ma'am.
they can actually watch a pre-recorded, or they can do a live class. Do they have the
Exactly.
option to choose which one they're going to participate in?
Yes, ma'am. They have the option. So if you go to my DIY kitchendiaries.com, you can actually look at the classes that you can actually book virtually. And then if you go to DIY Kitchen Diaries Vegan Cooking at teachable.com, that's where my pre-recorded classes are.
Okay, and that's the link that we have posted on
Yes.
the screen.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So I have one more thing that I would like to show you and to find out what that is all about, and if you could give us some more information about it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So, this is just a PDF of all the classes that I do offer. I'm working to be able to get in to do more in-person classes. That is the goal. I do miss being in front of people and teaching in front where you're in front of me and I'm in front of you. But until we get to that point, I have a set of classes that I offer. The top one is my handmade pasta class. The first class with that handmade pasta, you're going to learn 3 different types of pasta. You learn how to actually make the pasta. You're also going to learn how to roll it out. You learn how to cut it. We make fettuccine. And the fun part of the other part of the pasta class is we make raviolis. It's super fun. It's amazing when I watch people cut and make their raviolis and they're, trying to put their filling in and they're like, oh my God, is this right? And I'm like, however you make it, it's fine. It's yours. And so all of the classes, you actually make your food and then I will cook a portion of it and you cook some of it. When it comes to the actual cooking of the pasta, I cook it because I actually cook it fast for you. And then I put it in your plate. And at the end of the class, you actually get to sit down. It's actually more like 30 minutes left into the class. You actually get to sit down and enjoy your food. So you get to work hard for an hour and a half. And then that last half an hour, you get to actually enjoy the fruits of your labor. And all my classes are about 2 hours for the items that you see on here. The next class is my sushi making class. And that's super fun too. I actually just learned how to roll sushi back in 2019. That's not something I knew for like years and years.
Okay.
I got thrown into it when I was teaching at Taste Buds and I had to learn really quick. And I was like, oh my God, I've got like 25 people that are watching me and I need to learn how to do it. And then once I learned, it was like super fun. And now I just love doing it. With that, you're going to learn how to roll it and tricks of how to keep your rice on there, what type of rice to actually use to make sushi rice, because it's not regular rice that you use. That third class on the bottom, which you see those little 3 pictures, 3 pieces, that's eggplant parmesan. That
Oh,
was
my.
super, yeah, that's super delicious. And I decided to add something with that class. So we're going to make vegan risotto. And risotto is one of those things you have to literally cook over the stove. So you have to stay over the pot because you use a lot of liquid and the liquid has to reduce down and you have to stir it. And so you have to stay with it. So that's kind of cool too, because it shows like patience. It takes a lot of patience to do it. And I remember when I was teaching it, it was one of those things where sometimes I would look around and, sometimes people would get tired and they're like, is this done? And I was like, no, not yet. All of the water and the liquid has to disappear. So that was super cool. And then that next class on the bottom is my vegan pizza class. And with that one, that's fun because you're going to make pizza dough from scratch. We make 3 different pizzas. And I just decided this year to incorporate another pizza to the recipe. So for the pizza class, you learn how to make the margarita pizza, which is basically basil and mozzarella. And you're probably asking, okay, what type of cheese? Well, we're going to use dairy-free cheese. There are a lot of different cheeses that they have that are out. I go back and forth between, there's a company called Bold Life, and then there's Follow Your Heart. I found that Those are the best. And then Trader Joe's actually has a brand that they just came out with that's really good as far as melting. Because one of the things that happens with cheese, especially vegan cheese, and it has to melt properly in order to create like pizza. And so you actually, when you sign up for those classes, I provide, if it was an in person class, I provide all of the ingredients and the tools. All you have to do is show up. It's also a BYOB class. So if you would like to bring some wine, you are more than welcome to. It's about having fun. It's about learning, but it's also about having fun doing it because I don't want it to be where it's like, oh my God, this is drudgery. I want it to be like you're having a great time and you enjoyed and you just learned something that maybe you didn't know.
Right, right.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. So, tell the audience how they can get in touch with you, where they can find you, what upcoming events you have, classes you may be offering that you haven't already mentioned.
Okay. Well, so I am pretty much on every social media platform. I am on Facebook, which is DIY Kitchen Diaries, vegan cook. No, it's actually cooking classes. And then on, you can go to my website, which is DIYKitchenDiaries.com. You can reach out through me there. You can also reach out through Instagram, which is DIY Kitchen Diaries Cooking Class. You can DM me. I also have my email address that if you have a question and you don't want to go through any social media, because some people are not on social media, you can reach me at afiNgreen@gmail.com. And I will answer a question. And then my links are on that email. So that way, if you have a personal question and maybe you're not on social media, because some people aren't, I use social media to promote what I do just so that I can reach a larger audience. I
Okay.
also, oh, you know what? I forgot to mention too. I also have a YouTube channel. I'm trying to do more with that.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Yeah. So then,
It's Chef Afi
uh-huh.
Green.
Chef
And so there's only yeah, it's Chef Afi Green. I've had it for like 4 years, but I'm not doing a lot with it just because it's sometimes it can be overwhelming to have all of these different platforms to be able to push and put videos on. So I just started doing a lot of pre-recording last summer for my DIY on Teachable. So
okay,
some of that content is on to my YouTube page, but I'm working on being able to put more videos and more content on there.
okay, perfect. Sounds good. So, in closing, if there's anything that you can share with the audience regarding those that may be considering learning more about plant-based diets, may be interested in obtaining vegan recipes, they can find all that information through your social media.
Yes, ma'am. They can find that through my social media as well as if they go to my website. Say if you wanted to get more in detail. So, say if you wanted to take it outside of just learning recreational and you really were considering transitioning. I do a one-on-one coaching, and that's actually on my website. You can actually book that on my website where we can do a virtual, so you don't have to be in front of me, and we would meet once a week for 3 weeks, and then you tell me the things that you enjoy eating, and I create like a menu for you, and then we actually do it together. So I send you the list of ingredients, you get the recipe guide, and then you can actually schedule it. I work with your time. So if it's better for you to do evenings, mornings, weekends, days, whatever works for you, we schedule it in. And then normally we either do it through I was trying to do Zoom, but I'm not really sure if Zoom will actually work for that just because sometimes the classes are a little bit longer than 30 minutes. So it would probably be through Google Meet. And then, we go from there. And then I'm working on, hopefully, like I said, hopefully by the summertime, we can get more in person classes.
Okay, great. That sounds great. And for those that are interested, they can make sure they go and check out Chef Afi Green and get on your way to learning more about vegan lifestyle, plant-based diet, and all of that good stuff. And if anybody wants information about how to become a chef, I'm sure that you can offer them information or direction towards that as well. Well, thank you so much for coming, Chef Afi, and talking to us this afternoon, letting us know who you are and what you're about. We appreciate having you so much. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed this. This was super cool to do. And I really appreciate you inviting me and to be a part of this. I love it. Thank you. And continue doing what you're doing.
Yes, we're going to keep going. This is new and adventurous, but it's been exciting. So thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. I love it.
All right. Until next time, we'll have you back for a demonstration. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye bye.
All right, everybody. That was Chef Afi. We want to thank her for coming out. It has been a pleasure having her come on and talk to us about what she's doing and teaching vegan recipes to individuals that are interested and her teaching classes. So make sure that, or cooking classes, make sure that you check Chef Afi out. She is on social media. You won't regret checking her out. So make sure that you do. And just to let you know, we have coming up next week something that many of you will be interested in. So make sure that you stay tuned and you subscribe, like, and share. Make sure you tap that notification bell because you do not want to miss what we have coming up next week. Next week, we are going to be talking to a trichologist. We're talking to none other than Mr. Anthony McClendon, and he is going to be talking to us about pandemic hair. This is pandemic hair, everybody. Yes, your girl has not seen the inside of a hair salon since last year, March 13th. So, what's happening is happening at home, and I think that a lot of us are having that issue. So make sure you check us out next week. We're going to be talking with Mr. Anthony McClendon, and he is going to be talking to us about that pandemic hair and what we can do. Although some of us are like, pandemic hair, don't care, doesn't matter. But he's going to tell us what we need to do to take care of our hair, how to grow our hair, what options we have when it comes to caring for our hair. And for the men, we haven't forgotten about you. We have information regarding your beard care as well. So make sure you are tuned next week to Anthony McClendon, Pandemic Hair, Don't Care. We will see you on Tuesday of next week. Looking forward to you all coming and checking us out, 7 p.m. right here, Silk Masquerades, and we will see you then. So it is time for us to come to a close, and that sound means that we have reached the end of episode number 3. Episode number 3 in the books. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And remember, if there's something missing in your smile, maybe it's time for you to bloom right where you're planted. And then come check us out, tell us about it. Let's get into it, okay? We'll see you next time. Peace and blessings, everybody. Good night. Bye.